So, did I steal this look from Casey Neistat? Hello, and welcome, guys, to a new video type that I'm trying to work out. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, and I got this table. I stole it from a Yankee Candle, and it's a nice beat-up table with a lot of character, and it works really, really well as kind of a reporting desk and an unboxing desk, and honestly, I like it. And so I've been trying to use it in the video type for a while now, and then I came up with all these ideas, and it didn't fit into anything that I was normally doing. So here we are. We're doing it, and it's, well, let's just talk about some stuff, because we've got a lot of Nintendo news in the most recent weeks that need a bit of discussion. So instead of just being, here's what happened, here's this, it's more about, here's what happened, here's what I think about it, here's why it's not the end of the world, or here's why it is the end of the world, depending on the situation. The glasses joke, well, you get the joke if you've watched Casey Neistat video. So then let's get right into it. So, what are we going to talk about? Today, the first thing we're talking about is the Legend of Zelda DLC news. Now, I did see this pretty much when they posted it, and I was half awake, so a lot of my expectation and everything around that was kind of like, what? Huh? I don't understand. And I blamed it on being half asleep, but I also can blame Nintendo for its shortcomings. You see, unfortunately, they didn't really do it well. What's actually there, and now that I understand it, is a lot more to be excited about than what they actually showed. You see, the way that they did this is they're like, here's DLC, it's going to cost $20, and it is a season pass, is how they're explaining it. But in reality, it's $20 for all the DLC, and you can only really buy it in one $20 pack. It's not really a season pass, but rather they're staggering the DLC releases, probably because it's not completed yet. And these are estimated times of completion. I do believe that they started this after completing the Wii U version of the game. I believe that they most likely ported the Switch version rather quickly. And because March 3rd is the Switch release date, Zelda's been done for a while, and they were kind of like twiddling their thumbs. And instead of letting people catch on to what they were doing, they kept the people around, and they started kind of working on these things. And so let's go over the DLC. Now, the DLC, so the first part is the kind of I bought the DLC part, and that gives you 3 new chests. One of those chests is going to contain a shirt that has the Nintendo Switch logo that Link can then wear. Kind of funny, especially because the Wii U version gets the exact same DLC, and we're guessing the others contain 2 useful items, as they say here. Now, DLC Pack 1, the first actual piece of DLC, releases in the summer, and it contains a new Cave of Trials, a new hard mode, and additional map features. The additional map features is kind of like weird in a way, but maybe it has to do with those new Cave of Trials and maybe something to do with the new hard mode. DLC Pack 2 contains an original story and a new dungeon and new challenges. And I think the new challenges is just because there's a new dungeon, unless challenges are Nintendo's word for achievements. And in that case, that's, again, a little weird, but at the same time, if you think about it, the Dragonborn DLC contained new challenges or achievements, trophies, whatever system you were on. So I guess that kind of makes sense, especially if the new challenge is tied directly to the new story bits. People are freaking out because they think they have gated hard mode. They think that they have gated the Cave of Trials. And I want to say probably not. Not because I'm optimistic and because I am Go Hung fanboy, but rather because they added the word new. Now, for those of you who don't know how the English language works, new would imply that there's an old. For example, this is an old Link amiibo. This is a new Link amiibo. I had these here and I had no intention of using them. They're both amiibo of Link, but one is new, one is old. So, because of that, there's probably a Cave of Trials in the game as is. There's always been a Cave of Trials in the 3D Zeldas. I can't quite remember at the moment if there was one for Majora's Mask, but I do know in Ocarina of Time, was there one in Ocarina of Time? Actually, I can't remember if there was one in Ocarina of Time either. Starting from the Wind Waker forward, I think. The Cave of Trials has been a staple in the Zelda franchise for a while. It usually gives you access to some pretty awesome items, so I don't think they're going to just cut it out. I think the Cave of Trials is going to exist, and then this new Cave of Trials is going to sort of be like a super hard Cave of Trials with a much, much better reward at the end of it. And then the new hard mode, I'm going out on a limb and I'm going to suggest that they're probably making it's sort of like a hero mode remix that they did for Ocarina of Time. And if you've ever played the Ocarina of Time hero mode, which you can do easily now with the 3DS, it's completely different and the same. It's super weird. It's like the same map, the same dungeon order, but instead the puzzles themselves are harder. And in a game that's so open like this one, they could easily redo the dungeons and the caves and the trials and the shrines and the enemy placement, all without making it feel like Legend of Zelda Dark Souls Edition, because I have a sneaky suspicion that the normal hard mode will be just fine with that. All in all, I think Zelda DLC is going to be a good thing. I will be able to tell you honestly because I am a sucker for these things. I bought the Mario Kart DLC immediately. I bought the Smash Bros DLC immediately. And no, I do not feel like I've wasted my money on those things. Those pieces of DLC complete the game for me. And I'm kind of excited for the idea of having a similar experience on The Legend of Zelda. So moving on, we're going to be talking about an interview with the answer to our GameCube Virtual Console questions. Now, honestly, this is one of those things where GameCube Virtual Console is actually near and dear to me. I love the GameCube. The GameCube is one of my favorite consoles. So much so that it's actually the top of my console stack over here of retro consoles. This GameCube works and is pretty much in mint because I love it so very much. I've gone through more GameCubes than I really, really want to admit. So GameCube Virtual Console is very, very near and dear to me. And one of the things about GameCube Virtual Console is that the Switch would need analog triggers in order to emulate the GameCube properly. Now, there are a couple reasons why Nintendo got rid of analog triggers. For one, they are a bit more expensive than digital triggers. Two, I want to say that the profile created by analog triggers compared to digital triggers is kind of weird. Back when Nintendo first got rid of them, it was on the Wii days, and I can't see a Wii remote with an analog trigger. It's just one of those things that I think they've moved away from it, and because they didn't have the parts and they're just kind of reusing parts between Pro controllers, that is why we haven't seen it integrated back in yet. That being said, I do think, here, we're just going to put this here. I do think Nintendo is working on a Joycon Pro, if you will. In fact, we made a mock-up that's going to play on the screen right now. This mock-up is of a potential Joycon Pro using the information that's given by the Nintendo president and the head designer of the Nintendo Switch. Two of the big things that they've mentioned are the need for analog triggers and the possibility of a D-pad on a Joy-Con. And now here's the reason why I think it's going to happen. If you think about it, when you start a project, when you own a company, I mean, I haven't really shown very much of my game for this exact reason. You want to show or talk about things when they're closer to fruition. I spent pretty much the first year of my game in silence. Not because I wasn't excited to tell anyone about it, but rather because if I told people about it, I would get their expectations up. And the game has changed so much since we started that honestly, it's not one of those things that I could have easily told people about and they would have understood it. And so because of that, I think Nintendo, the fact that they're talking about it means that it will happen. It's like, you don't really want to set people up to disappoint them, especially in a publicly traded company. If they say the next day GameCube Virtual Console isn't coming, there is no such thing as it, and we couldn't do it, it's gonna drop their stock, especially since they've been building it up. Now, if they completely leave it alone and they said that, it would just be disappointing, but it wouldn't feel like someone told you, hey, I have a cake for your birthday, and then when you get to your birthday party, there is no cake. That is why when they're talking about these things, they should be pretty confident that it's going to happen. Not only that, but some comments about how if you took 2 GameCube controllers and attached them to the Switch gamepad, the Switch console itself, it would look hideous. And I would probably agree, but we did make, just to see if we could make it, some GameCube Joy-Cons, and we're calling these the Joy-Con Smash Edition. These Joy-Cons, honestly, are probably the best controller to play Smash Bros. With, and I've got confidence in that. Now, wrapping it up, we are going to talk a little bit about a negative subject. It has come out that the Nintendo Switch dock is the only way to output to the TV. Now, as someone who actually was considering buying a third-party dock, this was disappointing, because it's one of those things that I now have to pay for Nintendo's $90 dock, and I can't get a sale on, say, an Anker Mac dock to display out. That being said, I understand where it comes from. As someone who has both this computer built off to the side and the computer I have right here, cooling is one of those situations that you really don't want to fuck around with. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. There is a gigantic heatsink in this computer. And the reason you don't screw around with that is high temperatures that overheat could cause permanent damage. And having the Switch fans down would kind of be a problem. And when it lays down, it's actually vents down, which is one of the reasons that the Switch comes with a kickstand, so that you don't actually play the system straight down. And because of that, I think the dock is necessary, because if you look at the dock, it actually has vents on the back of it for the Switch when it's docked and it's overclocked. And that would be the main reason, I think. Other than that, piracy. Nintendo doesn't want people to pirate their stuff, so restricting access into the Switch USB-C port makes sense in that degree. Granted, I don't think they're going to be able to stop pirates that easily. And that's our show. Thanks for watching. Cards are going to appear on the screen. Wolfie out.